What if I told you your next $100 pair of shoes was gonna cost $400 and your peace of mind? Welcome back to another episode of Scott's Quick Cash Class. Today we're gonna be talking about Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNL, or BNPL. So basically it's a nice way of you get what you want now and don't have to worry about paying for it till later. Sounds like a great concept because a lot of times we need things right now. About half of you guys that are Gen Z and millennials out there have used Buy Now, Pay Later. Since 2019 till now, the market has gone from 2 billion to 120 billion of Buy Now, Pay Later, right? Let's defer everything. Back when I was younger, we used to have what was called layaway, which was essentially the same thing, except the product was in your favorite department store, and you would go in there typically before Christmas, and you would go take it up to the customer service, and you'd give them the product, and they'd go, okay, we're gonna hold this for you on layaway back here in a nice safe spot, and you would go up there once a week, once a month, every couple weeks, and you would pay a little bit on there. They didn't really have payment plans because if you didn't pay it off before Christmas, then basically you wouldn't get it until you paid it off. So there was incentive there. Now they're doing it the other way. You get it first, and then you have to make installment loans. The sad thing is 60% of people that are using it for essentials like groceries, gas, even rent, which is really scary. Of those people that use it, 1 out of 3 end up falling behind. And the bad part about it is you don't get any credit for the good that you are when you pay those. So if you're under misconceptions of how these actually work, essentially the credit card or the finance company is giving you a loan for these, and then you have to make so many installments, and it tells you typically on there how many installments you have to make. When you make all those installments and you make your payments on time, they don't report it to your credit bureaus. However, if you miss even one payment, they then do report it to your credit bureau and it hits your credit. So you don't get any credit for the good stuff. So if you're gonna borrow money, why wouldn't you get credit for borrowing money? Now, I'm not here to advise you to borrow money, but there are smarter ways of doing it, and I just wanna present some facts to you on how to do that. So one study found that Buy Now, Pay Later customers overdraft their bank account 3 times as much as regular consumers. So if you're using that service, you're definitely more likely to overdraft. The other thing is when you use a Buy Now, Pay Later, you're gonna end up spending almost 70% more than you typically would have if you would have just used cash or your debit card. So just keep that in mind whenever you're looking at these. They look like a loan, they act like a loan, but they don't necessarily give you the advantages of a traditional loan. They just let you gratify yourself right now, and then you have to pay for the debt later, right? So my recommendation is if you're going to do this, and that's bringing us to our tip of the day, if you're going to do this and you are gonna use a Buy Now, Pay Later, whether it be Affirm or Klarna, or Afterpay, if you are gonna use one of those, wait 24 hours before you actually make that purchase. There's nothing that important that you can't wait 24 hours. I know it seems like that, but give yourself 24 hours and then come back and revisit it and see if that's still a purchase you wanna make. Now I'm gonna leave you with the question of the day. For those of you guys out there watching that have used the Buy Now, Pay Later, what's one thing that you bought that you really regretted that you wished you wouldn't have? Thanks for joining today. I really appreciate you guys. If you learned something here, or if you have some more questions, go ahead and leave a question. I'll be happy to answer that for you. And if you like what else you heard, tell a friend and hit the subscribe button. Till next time.